ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome back to our Saturday morning session. Let us continue on the talk we started last week. Now we need to expand a little bit on this concept of Shiva and Shakti before we go into individual, concepts of all the chakras we have in the human body. Now, we were talking about Shiva and Shakti. It is a very fundamental concept of how the Srishti works, how the entire universe operates. We talked that Shaktiman has to have Shakti. The Shakti, the holder of the power, has to have power. Otherwise, there is no power. The power and the power holder, they go together. Like the Prime Minister of India has power. Now the power holder is the Prime Minister. You cannot segregate the two. The power holder and the power are the same in certain ways, but they are also separate, because you cannot say that Mr. Modi is the power. But at the same time, the Prime Minister is the power holder and is also, having the power. If you look at another example, you take the example of Shiva in a dancing form. Now you cannot segregate the dance from the Shiva. The dancer and the Shiva and the dance. Dancer is the Shiva and the dance. They are same person, but they are still different. The dance is different than Shiva himself. So exactly the same way, Shiva and Shakti are two different things, but they are completely joined together. Like we have the head and tail of a coin, it is precisely in that sense they are joined together. Now, when the Shakti is projected, that becomes a kinetic form, and that kinetic form leads to multiplicity. Now, this is what we need to understand before we go into individual chakra. The ocean is one, and when the power of the ocean is projected, you have millions of waves coming on the ocean. Now that is the projection of Shakti of the ocean. Though the ocean waves and the ocean cannot be separated, but still you find that that very ocean creates multiplicity. Though it is one single unit, but it creates so much multiplicity. Exactly in the same way, the stored energy, the static energy of Shiva, which is stored in the entire universe, when the Shakti acts upon it, it multiplies into many forms. And that is what we call a formless becomes acquires form. How the formless acquires form? It is because of the projection of Shakti. Let me give another example. Now, a person, for example, you are absolutely sitting quiet in maun, in silence. Now, so long as you are silent, there is no form of the word. You are just sitting silent. But as soon as you utter some words, the words acquire a form. And you can actually measure them, you can put them in certain parameters. So, the maun, which was absolutely formless, has acquired a form. The words are coming out of that silence. They are projecting that silence into words, and those words have taken a form. So this is the nature of this universe. This question is asked often, that how a formless acquires form. And this is the concept of Shiva and Shakti, which explains that how a formless acquires a form. The other thing is that when the Shakti is projected, the power is projected. Actually, I'm using the word Shakti because power is not the same thing as Shakti. The Shakti in Sanskrit denotes something different than power in English. So the Shakti, when it is projected, it not only creates form, but it also creates attribute. It also creates gunas. It acquires certain, distinctive form. Like when you see the waves acquire, each of the wave has a different form, but it also has a different, what you call guna, different attribute of its own. Some are long, some are short, some are rising high, some are, each of the wave would be different than the rest of the waves. So this is how the formless acquires form, how the nirguna acquires guna. This whole process starts with Shiva and Shakti. Now, how this Shiva and Shakti have been seen in the human body, that is where the whole process starts. If you look at dot in mathematics, look at dot. Dot need not have any dimension. It's just a simple dot, though it is denoted with a point or dot, but mathematically it need not have any dimension at all. That is what it said. But from that dot, you can draw a line, you can draw a triangle, you can draw a square, you can draw a rectangular, you can draw innumerable amount of shapes starting from that dot. So the dot gives rise to multitude of shapes. So this is how it acquires, the Shakti acquires multiple forces and multiple facets in practical universe. When the universe, the Shakti works on the Shiva, then these multiple facets come into being, and this whole universe, which is tangible, manifested, is created. Now, you have seen Shiva temples in many parts of the country. You will find that a snake is actually found in the coiled form in the bottom of the Shiva phallus. Now, that is a symbol that the Shakti is actually embedded there in the form of a snake or a coil surrounding Shiva. So that is the nature of what we call our Mooladhara chakra. That is from where the Mooladhara chakra comes. That the Shakti is actually stored there in the form of a serpent or a coil. And that Shakti is called Kundalini. That is what, what you call Tantras as well as Yoga have explained. That is the source. That is why it is called Mool Adhar. That is the foundation of the human body or human being or the human mechanism. So that is where the concept of chakra begins. The concept of chakra begins with the stored energy in Mooladhara, which is lying dormant in a coiled form, like the snake is sitting around in a coiled form in the phallus of Shiva. So precisely that is the symbolic nature of Shakti, how it works and how it remains stored in Kundalini. So now that is like a dot. From that dot you can start multiple things. So how to implement that dot and how to work, will deal with that separately. But today we will now start on the various chakras which form part of the human constitution. So let us go one by one. I would like to use a PowerPoint to explain this properly. So let me put on that PowerPoint and share with you, because those images would be clearer when we use the PowerPoint. Now, how do we share?
Please click on present now.
Click on where? Present now. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see it?
No, it is happening. Just wait for a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Now you have to change your screen, and whatever will appear on your screen, we should be able to see. You are in the presenting mode.
Can you see the screen now?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Just can see the screen.
Okay.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Yeah. And you can see me also?
Yes.
Okay. So now it's
Both
fine.
screen and you can be seen separately.
Yeah, that's fine. Very good. So, you know, the chakras in human body, as I mentioned to you before, they are not forming part of the physical body, not of the gross body, but they form part of the subtle body, which is actually energy body, which is based on what you call electricity or rage of the fire. It is that you can see on internet sometimes images of a human brain shown entirely in the form of an energy. Precisely in that energy form, human body remains, and you can experience that in the state of dream, because you are not physically present in the state of dream, but you are acting in the form of rage. It's called tejas state of human body. So the chakras are present in the tejas state of human body, not in the gross state of human body. So you cannot physically find them. If a doctor goes and he wants to find a particular chakra, he will not be able to find it. It's not like a heart that he can find it, or not like a river which he can find it. But it is in the energy system of the body where the chakras operate. So I think we have already discussed this Sthul Sarir, Suksham Sarir and Karan Sarir in our last session. Now this is the order of the chakra. There are 7 chakras starting from Mooladhara. Mooladhara is actually between the genital and the organ of evacuation. It is at the really the last part of the spine from where it locates. And Swadhisthana, that is the second chakra, that is just above the genital. Just little bit above the genital, that is Swadhisthana. And then the third is Manipur, which is exactly on the navel area. The navel area is Manipur chakra. And then Anahat. Anahat is the point where the 2 lungs depart from each other. That is the Anahat chakra, in the center where the 2 lungs depart. Visuddha chakra is at the, talwa jisko kehte na, at the, when you put your hand at your front neck, you will find a little hole from where our old sound system starts, from where we speak. That is the point where Visuddha chakra is. And Agya Chakra is at this point where you have the meeting point of the two eyes and the top of our nostril. So this is the Agya Chakra, and Sahasrara is the point where when in childhood you find in a child there's a small little soft place in the head, at the tip of the head. That soft place is the point of Sahasrara. So these are the 7 principal chakras. There are theories which define many other chakras. Some of the writings go up to 108 chakras. But principally these are 7 chakras which control human body in variety of ways. So we will go one by one on each one of them. Now, Prithvi Tattva. These chakras. Let me explain this a little bit. The whole universe is designed in a very scientific way. It is not, just what you call random, combination of matter. It is not that. The whole designing is absolutely scientific. It is a perfect engineering which you cannot experience anywhere else in any part of this universe. So there are 5 great elements which we talked in our talks. Starting from the other way around, from the heaviest, the Prithvi Tattva is the heaviest, then the Jal Tattva, then Agni Tattva, then Vayu Tattva, and then Akash Tattva. The Akash Tattva becomes the lightest of the all. So this is Prithvi Tattva, which is the heaviest, which holds our Mooladhar. Mooladhar is actually comparable to the earth element in that sense. The element of earth and Mooladhar, they are correlated. In this chakra, we already understood the location, that is the base of the spine. And this chakra is basically red in color. That is what, how do you know these colors and all these combinations? Now this is a process that some of our rishis and munis in the ancient times meditated upon the astral body, the energy body of human being. And they discover all these things in the process of the meditation. So they discover the color, they discover the basic feature of each of the chakras. They also discovered what are the specific role of these chakras into the human mechanism. So these are not based on some random collection of knowledge from here and there, but these are based on the practical experience which was undergone by a large number of rishis and munis in ancient time. They saw all this with their own eyes, in their own bodies, and based on that, they wrote all these, facts of life. Precisely the way the Upanishads have been written.
Can you put it on slide? Can you put it on slide? Show more. The screen. This will become larger.
Yeah. Now, good.
Yeah, it's better. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So you can it is reddish in color, and the mantra of this chakra is Lam. That is why when we do meditation, we use the word Lam, because we want to activate this chakra at the time of our meditation. So Lam is the code word or mantra of this chakra. Now, the function of this chakra are basically, if it is well balanced, then it provides you a sense of security, it provides you humility, you are grounded, stable, you are not, flickering like waves in the ocean, or the lamp which is in the wind. When the lamp is in the wind, it keeps flickering all the time. We are not like that. It gives you stability. It gives you energy. It gives you good health, and you stand firmly. That is what this chakra means. That you are fully grounded, you are firm, you are stable, you are energetic. So this chakra gives you that kind of strength in your body, in your mind, that you feel stable, you feel energetic. Now, if it is not well balanced, then you might develop a sense of insecurity, a sense of fear, anxiety, low level of self-esteem. You start feeling bad inside yourself that I am not good enough. So these are some of the symptoms of unbalanced chakra, unbalanced Mooladhara. A balanced Mooladhara is therefore very, very important. It is important in its own way, but it is very important in the way that it can also ignite the fire of Kundalini, which we will discuss separately in next session. Because the Kundalini is rooted in this chakra, from where it has to be activated and then taken upwards. So this is primarily the function of this chakra. If anything goes imbalanced or wrong with this chakra, you have to stabilize this chakra. And for stabilize this chakra, you have to eat your food in such a way which has more elements of earth. In Ayurveda, a very consolidated list of things have been given, that which particular vegetable or fruit or medicine or herb contains what elements. Out of those 5 elements, which contains more of earth. So we have to use those elements, those fruits and vegetables, to enhance the balance of this chakra. So Ayurveda is also in this sense closely related to the theory of chakras. Now let's move to the next chakra. Now this is also going in the order of those 5 elements. So this chakra is Jal Tattva, that is the water element, which is the second, not as what you call solid, less solid, the liquid element in our body and in the universe. So this chakra has somewhat orange color. That is what has been discovered, and it has 6 petals. Now all the chakras have been also defined in terms of petals, and like Mooladhara has 4 petals and this has 6 petals, and we will discover what is the meaning of these petals later on and what do they denote. But this is the shape of this chakra which our rishis have seen inside our body while meditating. And as explained, this is located just above the genital. You can say between the navel and the genital. And this chakra is responsible for our reproductive power, for our sexual power, for our sexual pleasure, and also for creativity. Creativity in the sense of art, a painter, a poet, writer, you will find these painters and poets, they have higher level of sexual energy as well. These are correlated in certain ways. So that this chakra is responsible for providing these kind of vital elements to the human body. And the mantra for this chakra is Vam. Vam actually where is one of the last letters of our alphabet in Sanskrit. But that will come back later on that later on. But this is the mantra of this chakra. And if this chakra is fully balanced, then it enhances your creativity, your artistic elements, For example, you can become poet, you can become painter, you can become an artist. It increases your, sexual ability, your what you call fertility, also your bodily pleasures. It also adds to your prosperity, because when you are happy, you are healthy, and you have that, then naturally it adds to your prosperity. So these are the primary factors contributing to the human mechanism through this chakra. And if it is not balanced, then you will have problem with fertility, sexual issues, you will have a lot of allergies, you will have feeling of guilt and shyness, your artistic ability will not be there at all. So all these things in a negative way will work on human mechanism when you have unbalanced or imbalanced Swadhisthana chakra. Now let us go to the third chakra. This is Manipur chakra. This is right in the center of human body, in the sense it is in the navel area. It is also called solar plex, because this chakra has sort of yellow color, but also a color which reflects energy, which reflects sunlight in some ways. That is why it is called solar plex, because it reflects sunlight, it reflects energy. And it reflects, when you are, for example, you feel unstable sometimes, you feel fear, you feel scared. That time, if you think of this chakra, you will become very stable immediately, because this provides you tremendous amount of stability, even much more than Mooladhara. This is the chakra which holds. It's a very important chakra. If you look at the human birth, a child is always connected with this chakra, with the mother. The so-called, the breathing system, the food, everything which passes to the fetus, it passes through that connection which is with this chakra. This chakra connects mother with the child and becomes the source of food and breathing and all the energy into the child. So this chakra provides a new life in that sense. So that is why this chakra is source of energy, strength, confidence. It gives you mental balance and total stability. It gives you good health. Good health is part of this chakra. If this chakra is strong and balanced, you will have no health problems in general. And the mantra for this chakra is Ram. That is, that is how it is. You can call it Ram, but basically it's Ram. And then, because all these words are with dot on the top. This is, I will explain why there is a dot on the top in all of them. And that is pronounced with ma at the end. Now this is imbalance, then you will have, lack of energy, you will have feel weak, you will have lot of fatigue, allergies, low self-esteem, and your digestive system will not work properly, and you might have, stomach or the organs related problems. The organs in this part of the body are the digestive system, your liver, your kidneys, your evacuation system, all that is in this part, and they are affected when this chakra is not good enough. And you will see this chakra has 12 petals. These petals, actually 10 petals, sorry. This chakra has 10 petals, and the meaning of those petals I will explain later on at the end of this presentation. Now this is Anahat chakra. This is somewhat green in color. This is related to our heart, but it is in the center of the chest, at the point where the two lungs depart. That is the point. And this is the chakra which Since it is connected with heart, it is connected with love, acceptance, compassion, all the feelings which come from your heart. So it dominates those feelings. It is, people who have compassion, who have love, who have sympathy, who have respect. I think this chakra is strong and well balanced in those bodies. And Yam is the mantra for this chakra. If it is balanced, you will be a loving person, you will be empathetic, you will have open heart, you will be willing to help others. Emotionally, you will be balanced, you will not be too, going into extremes in your emotional thinking. And you will be trustworthy and you will be trustful, both in that sense. And if this chakra is not fully balanced, then you will feel loneliness, you will feel jealous because you are lacking love, so you feel jealous. You will feel cold-hearted because you are not warm-hearted because you are not compassionate, you are not empathic to others, and that is why you become cold-hearted. So this chakra is related to more your emotions and love and your basic so-called human qualities. And this is, of course, related to your heart. It is Vayu Tattva. It is the fourth element in the nature. That is the wind, and the previous one was the Agni Tattva. Agni Tattva is the fire element, which provides you energy, which governs all your energy into the body. And this is the air chakra, which gives you, the movement, which provides you what you call movement as well as stability, and gives you emotions and love and compassion. Now, if we go to the Visuddha chakra, which is in the throat, it is the chakra of all the sounds. Let me go back to the Vayu chakra once again. This Anahata chakra. This has actually 12 petals, and we will discuss these petals later on when we come to the next few slides. Now Visuddha chakra, this has 16 petals. It is blue in color, and its location is in the throat. It's at the lower part of the throat, from where our sound system works. So it is primarily dominating the communication system in the human body. The nad, the shabd, all the sound system which we create from our body is dominated by this chakra. People who have balanced chakra, Visuddha balanced chakra, they will be very truthful, they would be good listeners, they would be good communicators. Some people are very good in communicating, very good in listening, they express themselves well because this chakra is well balanced in those cases. So this is the main quality of this chakra, and this provides that kind of energy where people can feel, very, what you call, great ability of communication, and they also feel very truthful in their talk, and they are peaceful. And if the chakra is not very balanced, then obviously the person feels that he is not able to communicate properly. They have fear in the communication. Sometimes they lie, they don't tell the truth, and they become arrogant rather than peaceful. They become arrogant. And then the people have hearing problem, they have thyroid problem, they have throat problems because of imbalance in this chakra. Now this is Agya chakra. Agya chakra is beyond the 5 elements. You see, the total of what we call, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has said in chapter 8, that there are 8 elements which constitute this universe, this physical universe. There is the 5 great elements, that is, we talked, the Prithvi, Jal, Agni, Vayu and Akash, and then Man, Buddhi and Ahankar. These are the three additional elements which are very subtle elements. These are not elements that are visible in the sense the water and fire and air are can be felt by our body system. These are far more subtle elements, and these elements are controlled by Agya Chakra, which is actually also called Antakaran. Now I also put Chit here because Chit is actually connected to Atma, but it is the upper part of Atma which keep fluctuating with the movement of our mind. The mind and intellect keep, our Chitta in imbalanced position. So that is why I put Chit here. But these are the four elements which are called elements of Antakaran. But primarily these are three, Man, Buddhi and Ahankar. Chit is just an outcome of these three which is impacting on the human soul, human Atma. Now this chakra has only two petals and it has indigo color. The mantra is Om, and it is basically a chakra which controls your intuition and your vision, your long-term thinking, your clarity of vision, your intuition, your perception. Some people who have great, well-balanced Agya Chakra, they become very spiritual, their mental ability is very strong, and they have great vision, and their intuition is very strong as well. Intuition basically means the inner voice which comes, which guides your actions. So that is intuition. So these are the positive sides of this chakra if it is well balanced. If it is not very well balanced, then obviously the same things will be affected in the opposite direction, and there would be lack of intuition, there would be lack of imagination, and there would be fear, panic, and there's no clear vision in your thinking. So that kind of thing will happen if this chakra is not well balanced. And this chakra is extremely important for meditation because this is the chakra where your mind rests. Your buddhi and ahankar also rest at the same place. And a restful mind is extremely important for good meditation. Now, we will come to these petals. This chakra has two petals, and what is the meaning of these petals? You see, as I told you, the whole universe and the whole system is designed in a very scientific way, and this has been explained beautifully in ancient Indian writings. Whether it is the theory of Panch Mahabhut, whether it is the theory of Antakaran, Man, Buddhi, Ahankar and Chit, whether it is the alphabet in Sanskrit, how they work, or whether it is the holistic system of Ayurveda, how that operates on the human body, they are all interconnected in a very scientific, very engineering way. And this is what it will come to now. These are the Sanskrit alphabets. And these alphabets are connected to the chakras which we have discussed so far. We have discussed 6 chakras, and these are the alphabets coming out of each of the chakras. The first chakra is Mooladhara, which has 4 petals. And these are the 4 alphabets. These are the last 4 alphabets. If you see, except the Hai, which is the last alphabet which goes at the bottom, you will see it the other way around completely. So let me start from chakra number 5, because that will explain us very well. This is the chakra, Visuddha chakra. This is being the chakra of sound and shabd and throat. It gives all the vowels. There are 16 vowels in Sanskrit, and this has 16 petals, and these 16 vowels given at number 5, they arise from this chakra. A, A, I, U, Ri, L, A, I, O, Ang, A. These 16 vowels have their origin in this chakra. These sounds come from this chakra. Now, then we start Ka, Kha, Ga. This is our consonants, and we go to chakra number 4. This has 12 petals, Anahat chakra, and these 12 petals are reflected here. Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Na, Cha, Cha, Ja, Cha, Na, Ta, Ta. It ends here. These 12 letters of Sanskrit alphabet come from this particular chakra. And then if you go to Manipur chakra, it has 10 petals, and these are the 10 alphabets coming from here after this. Ta, tha, then da, da, na, ta, tha, da, da, na, pa, fa. These are 10 alphabets coming from Manipur chakra. And then if we go to Swadhisthana chakra, it has 6 petals, and these 6 alphabets comes pa, fa, ba, bha, ma, ye, re, la, and then va comes elsewhere. So this is how this chakra works, and this is va, sha, sa, sa, ha, and sha. The last 2 alphabets, they come from the Agya chakra. So this is a very well established scientific engineering of human body, which gives birth to the energy body, which explains the flow of energy and what controls what, which also explains in detail the sound system which originates from our body and how it originates. And this science of alphabets, I have not seen anywhere else in any alphabet in the world. The closest to this is Hungarian language, which has 14 alphabets, 14 vowels, and I think they have 32 consonants. But Sanskrit is the only language which has 50 alphabets. Shatragya, there are 2 more words here, Shatragya. Those are actually what you call Sandhi words. Tra is Ta and Ra, and Ga is Ga and Ya. And that is why they are not put it here. But these 50 alphabets which are mentioned here, they have their origin in the chakras, and that is how the sound system in our body operates. And this is extremely important, because when the universe comes into being, when the Shakti is actually creating multiple facets of manifestation, or converting unity into what you call multiplicity, at that time the sound system comes into being. And the first word which was uttered is word of Om, which created a sound which is supposed to have created energy and led to multiple vibrations in the universe, creating all the manifested universe. And that is why the word Om is extremely important. Even if you look at Christianity, they have a word called Amen, which is a somewhat modified version of Om, and the similar version is also there in Islamic religion, and that also is a modified version of Om. So this is the sound system, the Shabd Brahma we call. It has its direct linkages to the human chakra system, and that is what I wanted to explain today. We can have a consolidated look of the summary of the chakras here. We will talk about Sahasrahar later on, but you can have the consolidated summary of the 6 chakras here and plus the Sahasrahar. Now Sahasrahar chakra, it is supposed to have 1,000, what we call petals. That's why the word shows Sahasrahar. Sahasra means 1,000. It has 1,000 petals. And it is the chakra which is directly connected to the Almighty or the what you call universal consciousness. This is the chakra of the spirit. This is the chakra which is violet in color. Some people call it white in color. But these are two variations, white and violet. And the Mool mantra of this chakra is Om. And the Mool mantra of Agya chakra is also Om. But the Om here is in the full form, and in Agya chakra is in somewhat diluted form. You see here it is the second part of O is missing here, while it is the Om in full form with the U Ma, while U is missing in Agya chakra. And this chakra is, if it is well balanced, it leads to spiritual thinking, it leads to wisdom, it leads to openness, it leads to unity, it leads to cohesiveness, because unity and cohesiveness, they work together. And if it is not well balanced, then people become highly materialistic. They don't have much spiritual thinking. They are primarily looking for wealth and power in the world, and not the spiritual learning. So this is how this chakra works. This chakra is actually the last on the tip of the head, connecting Mooladhara at the bottom, and the connecting part we will discuss in our next session when we talk about Kundalini and we talk about Nadij, the 3 principal Nadij. We will discuss that in our next session. Now let me summarize it once again very briefly. These chakras are not completely operating in isolation. They are interconnected. And their interconnection, you can see that some of the chakras have similar features. Like stability is also reflected in Earth chakra, that is Mooladhara, and also in Manipur chakra. Similarly, in Anahat, love and open-heartedness is reflected. The same is also reflected in Sahasrahar chakra. So there are a lot of interconnection in these chakras. But basically, these are the junctions for flow of energy from bottom of the spine till the end of the spine. If the energy is flowing steadily from bottom to the top, you are going upwards. That is called Urdhgami. But when the energy flows from top to bottom, then you become Adhogami, you are going downwards. So this is the flow of energy which actually decides in which direction human being is flowing. In addition, these chakras are working in total coordination with the Nadi system of the human mechanism. And we talked about the Nadis in our previous session. According to Prasnopanishad, there are 72 crore Nadis. That is, no, 7.2 crore Nadis, 72 million Nadis. I explained that there are 101 Nadis coming out of our heart. Out of the 101, 100 are further divided into 100 each. That becomes 10,000. And each of the 10,000 is further divided into 72,000 each. So all that Nadi system which controls our energy flow into the body is connected with these chakras. These chakras are junctions for the flow of energy, and that is what our astral body or the subtle body or Suksham Sarira is. And that is what I thought will explain the operation of our energy body. Energy body is far more important than the stool, the visible, tangible body which we see, because this energy body is controlling all our health issues, all our emotions, all our thinking process, everything, including our communication system. And that is why this is extremely important in understanding what we call human physiology. So I would conclude this today here, but in the next session we will deal with the three principal nadis and the Kundalini when we move further on this topic. Thank you very much. If you have any question, please let me know.